On to our coding platforms. We will primarily use a platform called Google Colab, and this is a web-based platform. We'll use this for our lesson notes, which are interactive, and our assignments as well. We will also use another program called Replit, which is getting more popular, and I want to introduce it to you because I think it will help you in going forward. And we'll use this for weekly coding challenges. And these will be problems to keep your skills improving all the time. Both of these coding environments are web-based, meaning they run in the web browser and not on your computer, so you will not need to download any software. So that means, when we run code in a browser-based platform, that code isn't just in the ether, it's running on some computer somewhere or several networked computers. So we can still talk about the connection between our code and a device, even though it's not our own device. Using web-based software makes it much easier for us to work. Since we won't have to download anything. It also makes it easier for us to work collaboratively. So that's why I've made that choice. As you become more serious, if you're someone who thinks you're going to be using Python for a long time after this class, then the local software that I recommend is Anaconda and VS Code. So these platforms actually resemble the structure of Colab and Replit fairly closely, and so you'll have experience with the kind of interface of Anaconda and VS Code through the work that we do. And if you are interested in downloading software, please let me know if you would like any help with that. So now we'll take a quick look at Google Colab. Our notes are going to be a sort of interactive textbook. So you don't just want to read them. You want to interact with them and work with them and adapt them as you see fit. What you will see is explanations and then blocks of code, which you can run by clicking this play button to the left, right? So that's how you'll work with our code. Let's just have a quick look. So if we go over to a Colab notebook, I'm in a Google Drive, and I'm going to highly recommend that everyone set up some kind of structure for their notebooks, because for every unit that we cover, we're going to have several Colab notebooks, one with open unsolved exercises and then one with solutions to those exercises. So for example, if we go into Unit 1, Lesson 1.1, which is Week 1, Day 1, you're going to see your lesson and the solution to that lesson. And that's how I've chosen to organize my notebooks, and I encourage you to do the same once you download your notebook from Blackboard or open your notebook from Blackboard. When you click on a link to open a Colab notebook, this is what you're going to see. And the first time you're going to have to connect to more apps and make sure you get the Google Colaboratory app. Okay, now I already have connected to that app, and I can click open with Google Colab. It can take a minute to load. I usually like to have our video lessons listed here. These are links to our videos, objectives, references, and then you're going to start to see the text and code blocks that I was talking about. So I need to hover over this code block and press play. Sometimes we're going to see output, sometimes we won't. And then I'll just continue to go through and run the blocks of code. We'll see some errors. That's intentional. So this is what an error will look like, right? We'll get used to seeing a lot of errors. Okay, so that's how we work with our notebooks. I will be asking everyone to change some settings, and you'll do that by going to Tools, Settings, Editor, and then make sure that you show line numbers and show indentation guides. This makes it easier for you to work with your classmates and with me if you come to office hours. And then you'll want to click Save. Okay, and that just makes it easier to see the different lines of code. For example, I have lines of code numbered 1 through 7 here, and that way I can refer to the lines if I want to work with someone, right? So I like to say, okay, in line 2, I'm doing this action. Okay, so that's settings. That's the settings you should set up. Customizing your lessons. Let me just illustrate this. In your lessons, you're going to see code blocks and text, and you'll notice that you can hover in between these blocks. And when you encounter a division between blocks of either text or code or 2 blocks of code, you get these options to add a new text block or add a new code block. And I'm going to be encouraging you often to add code blocks so that you can experiment with code and maybe try something that I'm demonstrating during our class or during a video that you would like to experiment with some more. Now you can always delete those code blocks by clicking this trash can icon. Okay, so that's one way to customize your code. Another way to customize your code is to comment out lines of code so that you can feature one line at a time. And this can be helpful when you want to focus on one action over another. And I would like to just show you some keystrokes that you can use. When you put a comment symbol, this is the comment symbol, it's a number sign, pound sign, that will ignore the block of code, and you don't necessarily need a space after it. I just do that because it's a preference. So I can do several blocks of code at a time by clicking Control / and on your Mac it's Command /. So I can uncomment or comment a large block of code. And that helps me just look at one at a time. Now here's blocking all of those lines. So when I do that, lines 5 through 9 will be completely ignored. And this is also a good way to add explanations within your code, which will become important at times. You can write a comment using regular language, just regular text, to say what some operation is doing, and that will make your notes even better. So you can take my template, my notes, and modify them with comments and additional code blocks so that you can really make the most out of your lessons. So that's where I will leave things, and that's plenty of information for you to get started with Python. Our next lesson is going to start showing you how to actually write and run code in Python within a Google Colab notebook.